بعد ذلك منكم فقد ضل سواء السبيل ومن كفر بعد ذلك منكم. Whoever al-kufr here is not necessarily disbelieving, but rather is not appreciating. Do you get that? There is kufranun ni'am. Allah bless you and you refuse to appreciate that blessing. If you refuse to appreciate what Allah has done to you, you refuse to thank Allah for what Allah has done to you, then the consequences is going to be terrible. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَنْ كَفَرَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ مِنْكُمْ. Whoever amongst you disbelieve or refuse to appreciate after that, فَقَدْ ضَلَّ سَوَاءَ السَّبِيلِ أي أخطأ قصد الطريق, meaning he has missed the correct path that is expected of him to follow. A country or a nation or a family or an individual that is not appreciating Allah have opened gates of so many other problems to come into that particular country or nation or individual or family. Appreciating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of the ingredients that increase his blessings subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you appreciate Allah, Allah increases blessings. You see, it is not how much you have, but how beneficial is that thing you have that matters. You can have a huge amount of money or resources or opportunities or whatever. By the time these particular resources or opportunities are not blessed, it will come out to be a punishment to you. And that is why scholars will say the difference between blessing and punishment is just one alphabet. Ni'ima with aynun means blessing. Niqima with qafun means punishment. Ni'matun, niqimatun. So it's just the same thing, just a slight difference between appreciation. If you appreciate, you get blessings. If you refuse to appreciate, then you suffer the consequences. And that is why you can see people with money but suffering. People with resources but suffering. No rest of mind, no contentment, no this, and seriously attached to that. By the time you are attached to materialism, you are a slave to that materialism and you can never be satisfied. And you continue like that. But if you appreciate Allah, you may lack the resources. The resources might finish, but then your mind of that contentment will give you peace of mind. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if you disbelieve or you refuse to appreciate Allah ta'ala, then remember that you have missed the path. فَقَدْ ضَلَّ سَوَاءَ السَّبِيلِ فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ.
فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ لَعَنَّاهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً يُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَ عَنْ مَوَاضِعِهِ وَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِّمَّا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ ولا تزال تطلع على خائنة منهم إلا قليلا منهم فاعف عنهم واصفح إن الله يحب المحسنين.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still reminding us about the covenant, about those particular responsibilities expected of Banu Israel, about what they are supposed to do. And I said earlier, all this Allah is drawing our attention as Muslims on the importance of fulfilling agreements, on the importance of fulfilling discharging our responsibilities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ لَعَنَّاهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً يُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَ عَنْ مَوَاضِعِهِ وَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِّمَّا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ ولا تزال تطلع على خائنة منهم إلا قليلا منهم فاعف عنهم واصفح إن الله يحب المحسنين. Allah Ta'ala is saying, after this covenant, after all this that is expected of them, that they have agreed to stand by, to follow between them and Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, they now break these particular promises. They now refuse to fulfill all those things expected of them. So, فَبِسَبَبِ نَقْضِهِمْ الْمِيثَاقِ الَّذِي أَخَذَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. As a result of this abandonment, they abandoned this particular covenant. As a result of this thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now saying, فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ لَعَنَّاهُمْ. Because of that, they break their promises, they break and refuse to fulfill all these covenants. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَعَنَّاهُمْ. We now cursed them. The curse of Allah came on them. You see, Because of Allah means al-ibad, to be taken away from the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Instead of you being blessed, then at the end you will become someone that is wretched in life. Why? Because you have broken that particular covenant and refused to discharge that responsibilities as expected. And you see, An-Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us, one of the things that make a Muslim to be a Muslim, if you take a kind of promise, or you enter into agreement, that agreement can be between you and another Muslim, it can be between you and a non-Muslim. If it is an agreement to enter into willingly, as a Muslim, you never break that particular promise. You never break that on your own part. And we have seen this severally with Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We see what happened in Sulh Hudaybiyah. We narrated this story earlier before now. And you see how the breaking of that particular agreement came from the enemies, not from Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And you can never cite any instance in the life of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that he entered into agreement with people and he breaks that particular agreement. And that is what is expected of every Muslim. It was rather the others that have been breaking their agreements. Like Banu Qurayza, Banu Nadir, these tribes of the Jews that were in Medina. We see how they broke all those particular promises. And at the end they connived with others to come and destroy Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam together with his people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ لَعَنَّاهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً. And we make their heart to be hard. You know, if the heart is not clean, if the heart is rusted, if the heart is dirty, nothing will be good. And what brought about that dirtiness of the heart and the darkness in the heart is as a result of breaking those particular promises, not discharging the responsibilities as expected. And that is why a narration was narrated, it might not be an authentic hadith, that is basically قسوة القلب من كثرة الذنوب وكثرة الذنوب من نسيان الموت ونسيان الموت من طول الأمل وطول الأمل من حب الدنيا وحب الدنيا رأس كل خطيئة. قسوة القلب, what makes the heart of someone to become dark, rusted, unclean, is as a result of committing sinful act. قسوة القلب من كثرة الذنوب. By the time you are committing sin and you are taking this sin as nothing, it will be imparting onto your own inner conscience, and at the end it will make your heart to become dark, to become closed, and to become an evil one. May Allah protect us. And that is why it is being said to train your children, don't expose them to sinful acts, things that are sinful. Small sin, you take them as small sin, they go into the heart gradually, and before you realize it, it blocks the heart and it becomes qalbul qasi. Why? It is being said that the inner conscience of the human being is as clean as white slate, very clean. But the time you commit sin, a dark spot will be thrown into that clean slate. If you seek for Allah's forgiveness, sincerely you repent, that dark spot will be clean and wiped away, and it will come back as if nothing happened, like a mirror. You throw a coal tar on it, for example, a dark something on it, and then you wipe it as if nothing happened. But by the time you continue to commit the sin, no repentance, no istighfar, no all these things, then dark spots will be added into that clean slate. The darkness will be going slowly until when it will cover that particular clean slate. And that is what will become, the heart will become rusted. كَلَّا بَلْ رَانَ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. So don't expose yourself to sinful acts, sin, and don't expose your children to that. قسوة القلب من كثرة الذنوب وكثرة الذنوب من نسيان الموت. What make people to be committing sin, committing all these atrocities, not reflecting and thinking about the consequences? Nisyan al-maut, they forget about death. They take life of this world as if it is everything. And that is why all they want is the enjoyment of this world. If you are reflecting and thinking over your end, that at the end of the journey, it's going to be a place that you will go and start a journey to infinity. And that journey, when you start it, you can't come back. If you begin to be recalling, reflecting over death, that death is a reality, that will come to you and you cannot escape it. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. There is no soul that will escape death. If you reflect over this, you will control all these kind of things that you have been engaging yourself in. But nisyan al-maut, people forget about death. And that is why people that are so much immersed, so much deep into worldly affairs, they don't want you to remind them of death. They don't want to hear that story. And even if they go, if there's someone that died, you see them, they will stay behind. They will never like to go closer to that particular corpse. Why? Because they don't want you to bring the statement of death before their presence. So, Nisyan al-Maut, people need to be reminded about death. أَكْثِرُوا مِنْ ذِكْرِ هَذِهِ اللَّذَّاتِ. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, remember constantly the destroyer of enjoyment. And what is that? Yani al-Maut, death. Death destroys everything. So, Nisyan al-Maut, وَنِسْيَانُ الْمَوْتِ مِنْ طُولِ الْأَمَلِ. What makes people to forget about death? Ambition. Ambition. You put your hopes to so many years to come, and you forget that death is in between. Like this election itself, 2023 election. There were people that will have spent all their resources to win the election. And probably they have died without even witnessing the election. I might not know, but there may be people like that. And there could be people that can even win the election, and then they will not benefit from winning the election. So if you are putting this thing in front of you, that whatever is happening, death is in between, and you will limit all this, you are on long ambition. Ulul amal. The Prophet ﷺ drew a rectangle. It is there in Riyadus Salihin. He drew a rectangular form like this, and then he drew one long line, and in between he drew small lines. He said this is like the human life, the human being. You see this four side of the rectangle, four side, it is just like the life span that Allah has given. You can't escape outside this. Anywhere you go, you can't escape outside that particular boundaries that Allah has set for your life. Then you see the small lines in between. They are the kind of challenges in life. You pass through this, you cross this, you enjoy today, you suffer tomorrow. You laugh today, you are sad tomorrow. This is all within the life. Then the long line, that is the ambition of human beings have gone outside this lifespan. And that is why people die without fulfilling their ambition, mostly. People find themselves in the grave while they still have some other things to fulfill that they have not fulfilled. So, نسيان الموت من طول العمل. وطول العمل من حب الدنيا. What makes people to have all this long ambition, forgetting about their immediate and most important needs, responsibilities. All this, نسيان الموت طول العمل من حب الدنيا. The love of the world, materialism. You don't consider that this particular world, if you are enjoying money, you are enjoying resources, you are enjoying position, is something that Allah has given you as a trust. As a trust. It is dunya, it will come to an end. But by the time you now become enslaved to it, then of course so many other problems will come. And that is why he said, وَحُبِّ الدُّنْيَا رَأَسُ كُلُّ خَطِيئَةٍ. What is bringing all the troubles in the world is removing Allah. Removing Allah. If people feel they alone can do everything, and they alone can achieve everything, they don't need Allah, they don't need the religion, they don't need akhirah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will leave them with the troubles of the world itself. You can acquire whatever you can acquire. You can attain the highest peak of civilization, but at the end of it all, you can achieve something outside this particular world that will even give you satisfaction in the heart. May Allah assist us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً. We make their hearts to become hard, to become darkened, to become rusted. يُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَ عَنْ مَوَاضِئِهِ وَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِمَّا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ. يُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَ. They now change words. Meaning, instead of them following the correct teachings, they now interpret it outside context. Meaning, they justify their actions. You know, one of the evil things about life, it is one thing for you to commit evil, and it's another thing for you to justify that evil. In fact, our scholars are saying you can commit sin, maybe even major sins, like taking all this kind of, what do you call it? Things that intoxicates, or even fornication, or if all these things are kaba'i, major sins that can land you into big trouble. But it is one thing committing these sins, and it's another thing justifying that particular sin, to say there is no problem. By the time you say there is no problem in committing these things, scholars says you can go out of Islam. But by the time you are committing it, but deep in your mind, you know you are a sinner, you know it's a sin, you know it's evil, you know it's not acceptable, there is still gates and openings that you can get the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah ta'ala is saying, because they break those particular covenants, because they don't hold on to those particular promises, now at the end of it, their heart become rusted and lead them even to be distorting the words of Allah Ta'ala. Distorting the words of Allah. And that is why in another place, Nabi Muhammad said, if someone became so much attached to these worldly things, so much attached to seeking for power, there is no kind of destruction that cannot come to that particular person. Because someone that is seeking for power can sacrifice so many things, sometimes even the religion. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِمَّا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ, and they forgot, meaning they abandoned. This an-nisyan, scholar says, is deliberate forgetfulness. It's not an-nisyan of forgetfulness, it's abandonment. If you forget something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala usually forgive you what you forget. Do you get that? And especially the ummah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have clearly stated, just as is there in Surah Al-Baqarah, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ خَطَأْنَا. Allah Ta'ala don't hold us whenever we forget or we commit mistakes or wrong. So if you commit mistake or wrong, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah has forgiven for my ummah what they commit out of mistakes or forgetfulness. But then this forgetfulness is deliberate abandonment. You get that? So وَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِمَّا ذُكِّرُوا. So they abandon part of what they have been reminded to follow. Allah Ta'ala said, you will see the nature of their life. وَلَا تَزَالُ تَطَّلِعُ عَلَى خَائِنَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ. You will continuously see. That means وَلَا تَزَالُ. That means at every point in life, in relating with them, at any point you relate with these people, تَطَّلِعُ عَلَى خَائِنَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ. You will always see deceit on their part. They will never be straightforward. They will always be deceiving you. They will always be funny in their own behavior. They can never be straightforward with you. They can always put traps. They can always be deceivers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ, except but a few among them. You see, one beautiful thing about Islam is that it is not everybody that can be condemned. Out of the evil, you can get the good also. In the same way, out of the good, you can always get the evil as well. Usually, majority or what is prevalent is what determines the kind of that particular people or community is. If good is prevalent, you say the community is generally good. If evil is prevalent, you say the community is generally evil. That does not mean there is no good person among the evil people. Do you get the point? And that is why the Prophet ﷺ warned us and said, don't say everybody is destroyed. Man qala halaka nas fa huwa ahlakahu. You come and say nobody is good, everybody is bad. The Prophet said you are the worst of them. You can't say everybody is bad. There are always good people. They can be in a minority. And because they are minority, the community now will look like bad. For example, in our country, Nigeria, we talk about leadership problems, we talk about followership problems, we talk about so many problems. But there are good people. There are very, very good and excellent people. And that is why you see, even when you talk about worldly things, you go outside the country, you see people excelling than are Nigerians. Are they not so? In different places. In the same thing in Islam, you see our people going out for musabaqah and excelling. You see our people going out for the deen excelling. You see going so many things. But the opportunities that is there in the country that they have been denied is what is making the problem to continue to persist. So there are still good people. And that is why even in the people of the book, the Jews and the Christians, you don't say all of them are evil. There are good among them. That's what Allah Ta'ala told us. There are among them, if you give them something as a trust, they will return it back to you. And there are those that if you give them, they will never return it back to you. There are people that are good and there are people that are bad. So even among the Banu Israel, these are the people that breach agreements, break all these covenants, and they are the people that are deceivers. Allah Ta'ala said, إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْهُمْ, except for a few among them. Allah Ta'ala said, for how they are relating with you, فَعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاصْفَحْ, forgive them and overlook. You see the beauty of Islam. Forgive them and overlook. Whatever they are doing of evil, that particular evil, if Allah has protected you, nobody will be able to cause harm to come closer to you. You remember the hadith of Nabi Muhammad telling one of the young Sahaba, he said, إِحْفَظِ اللَّهَ يَحْفَظْكَ إِحْفَظِ اللَّهَ تَجِدْهُ تُجَاهَكَ. Take care of Allah. Discharge your responsibilities, Allah will take care of you. So Allah is telling Rasul, upon all breaking of promises, upon all the negative behaviors, فَعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاصْفَحْ, forgive them and overlook. Carry on. Go on with the good things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Certainly, Allah Ta'ala love those particular people that excel in goodness. Al-Muhsinin, those people that excel in goodness. You see, al-ihsan is something that is an unexpected and above expected goodness. You expect good from someone and he goes beyond even what you expect. This is al-ihsan. And that is why even in the issue of the deen itself, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was explaining Islam, the 11 points of the deen, when Jibreel came in the form of human being, he asked him, an al-ihsan, akhbirni an al-ihsan. He said, al-ihsan, an ta'budallaha ka'annaka tarahu, fa in lam takun tarahu, fa innahu yarak. You are to serve Allah as if Allah is in your presence, you are seeing Him. But if you are not seeing Allah, Allah sees you. So be perfect and excellent. So Allah Ta'ala said, Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love those people that excel in excellence. May Allah put us among them. What are the lessons we'll derive from all these verses? The lessons I said earlier, Allah told us as Muslims, as believers, try as much as you can to discharge your responsibility excellently well. Awfu bil uqud. If you enter into agreement, make sure you fulfill that. If you take a promise to do something, make sure you do that. Like leaders, they will take oath, isn't it? That they are going to do this and that. Fulfill all those particular things. Otherwise, Allah will call you to account. Like a Muslim, you have taken a vow, you have agreed to become a Muslim, not by coercion. Nobody forced you, so make sure you discharge all those responsibilities excellently well. Allah Ta'ala now told us the instances that Banu Israel fell into, breaking promises, not fulfilling what is expected of them to fulfill, and then you see the consequences. At the end, their hearts become rusted, Allah Ta'ala cursed them, and then so many other problems come. They distort the message itself, they interpret what Allah Ta'ala sent to them out of context, they end up not doing what is expected of them. And at the end, they even end up as deceivers, as people of deceit. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said to Rasulullah that he should overlook all these particular things that is coming from them. Let that never distract him. For Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah Ta'ala love those people that excel. So I pray we will excel in all our deeds, even within this month of Ramadan, and even after the month of Ramadan. Inshallah, we're going to stop today. Pray Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala bless and guide us. Other questions?
Yes.
Someone is asking, he says, Salamu alaikum, owing to the CBN cashless policy. I know that's the type of question will be coming. Mind you, I'm not an economist. Well, our expert here can help us. Owing to the CBN cashless policy, POS owners demand 1,000 naira per every 5,000 demanded. Is this not usury, riba? You get the information. Cashless policy demands that we transact without fiscal cash. That does not mean you don't have money, or that does not mean there's no transaction with money, but the money is converted into digits, isn't it? And that it is not paper that will be much in circulation. That does not mean the paper will completely be out of circulation, but it will minimize. Now, as a result of this, the POS people are charging 1,000 per 5,000. Maybe it's a mistake. It's trying to say 100 maybe. Yeah? It's true.
It's true.
Someone say you have an experience with that.
No, it's 1,000 by 10,000.
So whatever is the case, you know, al-halalu bayyinun wal haramu. What is haram and halal? There are things that are very clear. You that is charging that 1,000 for 5,000, if you are the one that is looking for 5,000 and you will be charged 1,000, how will you feel? Do you get that? Usually you put yourself into the position. So clearly, this is unfair, this is unjust, this is absence of empathy towards people that need help or assistance. And even if you are transacting business, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala put His barakah and blessings in the businesses that is easy going. Anything that you make things easy for people, Allah bless it. By the time you facilitate ease to others, Allah facilitate ease for you. The Prophet ﷺ told us that there was an individual that died. This particular person, Allah blessed him with resources, with money. He used to loan money to people. He's a very big businessman. But he will tell his people, his boys, that if you go to retrieve back my money, if you see anybody in difficulty, allow him. Allow him to have more time, and even if he cannot pay later, you just forgive him. This was what this person was doing. He died. He died, and at the end, judgment with all indices shows that he is going to hellfire because he has not done so much of ibadah, of activity in this world. He has not been good in his ibadah, in his act of worship. When all these judgments have been concluded, then Allah Ta'ala create a scenario for a particular message to be sent. Do you get that? Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala now said that this particular person should be interrogated of what he has been doing, whether he has anything of good. After interrogating this person, it was seen that in the world before he died, this was what he was doing. He used to forgive, give time to people that are passing through difficulties, that he has lending them money. Allah Ta'ala said, but I am more befitting, I am more in a better position to overlook than this my servant, overlooking what other servants have done. So this person, I have forgiven him, admit him into Jannah, for just making things easy for others. So this can never be justified. But for me to say it is riba completely, riba is a term, usury, that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala clearly stated in the glorious Quran. Whoever is engaged in riba is fighting a war with Allah, is fighting a war with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And riba, whoever participates in riba, he that initiates the riba transaction, he that serves as a witness to riba transaction, he that is beneficiary to the riba transaction, and all this will earn the curse of Allah and the curse of the Messenger of Allah. May Allah protect us. So this case, this is clear haram, and this is injustice, this is unfairness. And I pray Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will assist those people that are doing this to stop. Inshallah, that's the end of the question. So inshallah, we're going to stop here. But the issue of POS, generally, maybe to give a general something, there is nothing bad to charge on a service that you render. But the charges, there should be a rule or a guidelines on that particular charges. And going beyond that rule or guideline is what now brings the injustice or unfairness. I hope you get that. You can't say that POS, if you go for a POS person to give you 5,000 and he asks you to give you 100 naira, you say no, he is exchanging money for money, and therefore it should be mithlun bi mithlin, yadan bi yadin, and therefore any addition is riba. No, it is not like that. Because there is an activity, there is a service that is being rendered. I hope you get that. And it is the service that is being rendered that is being paid for. So the only thing is unfairness and unjust, being unfair and unjust in charging those particular people that you are rendering the services to. I pray Allah Ta'ala assist us. Inshallah, I'm going to stop here. Whatever we say which is right, may Allah reward us in abundance and assist us to implement the best out of it. And whatever I say which is wrong, may Allah forgive me and you and assist us to get the correct version of what is supposed to be so that we follow it all. Allahumma inna wa la tin alayna wa ansurna wa la tansur alayna wa hadina subul salam wa najjina min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur. Allahumma rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim wa tub alayna ya maulana innaka antat tawwabur rahim wa fiqna ila mardatik bi rahmatika ya rabbal alamin. Allahumma rabbana taqabbal siyamana wa qiyamana wa ruku'ana wa sujudana. Allahumma ij'alna min ibadikar rashidin. Allahumma ij'al siyamana siyama as-sa'imin. اللهم اجعل صيامنا صيام الصائمين وقيامنا قيام القائمين. اللهم تقبل منا يا كريم وارحمنا برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. لا تدع لنا ذنبا الا غفرته ولا هما الا فرجته ولا دينا الا قضيته ولا مريضا الا شفيته ولا ميتا الا رحمته ولا مبتلا الا عافيته لا حاجه من حوائج الدنيا والاخره الا قضيتها برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وآل محمد ما باركت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك.